Right now it's showing a 10% adjustment at around 5,500. And then if we go all the way out of the top here, that was making about a 12% adjustment. Now on pump gas, we didn't see that behavior. It actually wasn't as bad. It was only making maybe 2 or 3% adjustment. So we have a couple choices here. We could just leave the closed loop comp adjusting this, but that's not ideal. I'd like to go and actually fix the problem. What we're gonna have to do here, because the linear multiplier that's applying itself as a correction at idle, part throttle, and wide open throttle isn't fully correcting this problem here, we're gonna have to make the fuel multiplier table a two-dimensional table and base it on load, map pressure, and flex fuel to fix this problem that we're finding right here. Taking a look at our knock level, looking at this real quick, that really hasn't changed. Again, that wasn't a huge benefit as we were tuning before, so we're seeing that that has pretty similar behavior. Looking up top, let's look at our duty cycle on the injectors. We see the duty cycle here is roughly 40%. So duty cycle isn't super high. We have plenty of fuel left if we need fuel. And air fuel here, look at our air fuel, our target and our actual. So we're seeing here 11.4 target. I haven't changed the target air fuel. I leave the target air fuel the same on petrol or ethanol fuels, but we're seeing here 11.4, 11.5. That looks good all the way out here. Again, the closed loop comp is telling us the story of what we need to potentially change. So let's go in here, let's minimize this. I'm gonna go in here to the advanced tuning and go in here to the 1D tables. We're gonna turn on a 2D table, build it out first, and then we'll come back in here and turn off the 1D table because we need to make this a compensation factor to be able to compensate for that closed loop comp up top starting to trim more and more. Likely what's happening is the fuel pressure is dropping. Because the fuel pressure is dropping, it's going in and having the closed loop comp trying to compensate for that lack of pressure. The fuel pumps probably aren't able to keep up. If we were tuning this on, let's just say, a return system with a vacuum reference regulator, we wouldn't have that behavior. It should be able to compensate and the pumps would be able to make up the difference. But in this case, we're definitely having an issue. So what we're gonna do here is jump into 2D tables. We're gonna go to a table 3, turn on the enable table, and then we're gonna go in here and let's say flex fuel M, we'll say 3DM multiplier. We're not gonna inhibit closed loop or base learn, and we're not gonna do any activation. We're just gonna turn this on and allow it to work. We're gonna go here and we're gonna do a fuel flow multiplier. X-axis is going to be based on flex fuel, and then the Y-axis is based on map pressure. Now we need to go and renormalize this. Bottom is 0 to 100%, so that looks good in terms of the bottom axis for flex fuel. Looking here, the map pressure needs to be renormalized. We know 240 is about the limit of where we could scale things at. I'm gonna highlight between 0 and 240. I'm gonna right click, go to fill column values to renormalize my breakpoints for the table. The next thing I'm going to do is take a look here at my 1D table. My 1D table here, these are the values that I'm starting with, 0 to 40. We're gonna populate out the entire table with that and build out in a two-dimensional format, essentially making a two-dimensional table out of the one-dimensional table. Let's go here and I'll take this in steps so you understand what's going on. Go back to table 3. 0 ethanol is 0% modifier. 100% is that 40 that we were previously talking about here, so 40. What we're gonna do is just do an entire horizontal interpolation across the table. So right click, fill row values. So essentially what we've done now is create the same table in a two-dimensional format as what we were dealing with in a one-dimensional format. But the difference here is that I'm able to adjust this percentage that it's correcting based on the map pressure. So up top at the higher boost level, as the boost starts to go higher and higher with RPM with the supercharger, we're able to go in and have a higher multiplier to compensate for the lack of fuel pump that we have in the fuel flow rate that's coming from the fuel pumps. We're gonna be able to compensate for that. So that closed loop compensation doesn't add 12% or 10%. We were finding when we were dealing with the petrol fuel, we were only adding maybe 2-3% each pool, or it was pretty much on point. So in this case, we're gonna go in here and we're gonna correct for that. So let's go here to the data log. Let's just highlight, let's jump back in here. Highlight this real quick so we can see where we're at. So if we're looking here at the top, let me shrink this window down here just a little bit so we can fit this on our screen here and take a look. So we're looking here at the top, closed loop comp, that's kind of in this purplish color, that's right here. So the closed loop comp here is about 4%. We can see where our cursor's at. So we're at 60-67% ethanol, we're right here. And we're finding as we're starting to ascend and boost that the closed loop comp here, we see this trend where it's ramping up because we're compensating for the lack of fuel flow and fuel pressure coming from the fuel pumps. And again, I don't have fuel pressure as data, but I know that's what's going on here because on petrol fuel, it didn't have this behavior.
Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here. And you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.